Hey guys, it's Ash and P.
Hey, I'm back.
We're back. P, your thing looks like it's connected to the TV.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yes, you've got a cool setup there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
I'm just gonna, go right into it with,
yes, can't wait.
Oh gosh, what was that singer?
It wasn't Meghan Trainor, right?
No, Meghan Trainor's still alive.
Wait, she's not dead?
Yeah.
I thought it was Elle King.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
She's still alive. Are you thinking like Amy Winehouse?
Yeah, I was thinking Amy Winehouse.
I'm like,
Okay.
no.
Okay, old. Things don't.
I know.
Whatever. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna go
Yes.
hard on it. So, what I want to talk to y'all about today is
Y'all.
Exes and hoes.
Exes and hoes.
Exes and hoes.
I don't sing, so I can't.
I do. No. So Ashley, I have a question for you because
Yes.
we kind of talked about this a little bit today when we were all together. So my husband was a little bit not of a hoe.
Yes.
A little bit not.
Which I feel like that's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
I love that.
It's a great thing,
quality.
because he was a good boy
Right.
and he had morals and values.
I love those. Sorry, you guys. I'm
And
struggling here.
Your husband,
Maybe less morals.
maybe a little, maybe he found his a little bit later in life. A little bit later.
I mean, I feel like I found mine later in life also.
True. So,
but
true.
I had slightly more.
I think. Okay, I'm going to say this. I honestly think, as women and as females, and this is going to sound maybe very sexist. Oh, as a woman, you couldn't. Blah 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 blah.
Yes,
Listen, I could do whatever the fuck I want to. But
Right.
let's be real. As females, and we are emotional beings.
Yes.
We connect on different levels. And we are not all just animal driven vultures, just physical hormones. Oh,
right.
He looks hot tonight. Let's go in the bathroom right now, baby.
Yeah.
We're not, because we might want him to touch us somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just on our neck.
Right.
Maybe it's just a swish of the hair.
Right.
Maybe it's just a question he asked us that we're like, okay.
No,
next level.
No one's ever asked me
you're
anything,
on
so.
another level now, but we're not always at level 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier for men to be at level 8, 9, 10 without any touch, anything. They could stare at our tits for a second and they're at level 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And
there's that song that, is it Girls Don't? It's basically like, they don't call their buddies up and say they need to, I can't remember the name of the song. I don't know. It's something like Girls Don't, or something like that. But it's basically talking about how, when there's a breakup, guys will just go out and bang anything, and women don't do that.
Yeah,
and it is because we're emotional.
We do. We connect.
You and I listen to the same podcast.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I don't know if it was, no, it wasn't. Dang it. It wasn't that podcast. Okay. There is a term that is demisexual. And it's super bizarre.
Is that like asexual?
No. What it is people that want to have a relationship because of a connection. Basically a woman, right?
That's what I was thinking. My relationship, right, I'm confused.
Yeah, no. So I know so when this person was talking about it, they were like, so they basically want a woman, because women have relations and become intimate because of a connection that they feel.
Yes, absolutely.
We are not purely physical.
Right.
Right? It's going to involve the heart. And it's different than what they do.
Well, it is different. And I feel like, obviously we all have a past.
Right.
We weren't high school sweethearts. So I actually do have.
Like you and I were? Or no, just kidding.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't high school sweethearts.
It would have been nice had we been.
Great. I think we would have been awesome in high school.
Absolutely.
But I feel like, so I have one brother that has married his high school sweetheart. I mean, they've been together since they were like 14, 15, and
I love it.
They are very cute, and somehow it has worked. And I also see that they continue to grow together.
That's the important part.
It is. So when I say somehow it's grown, I mean, not because they've ever done anything. It's because I've seen their growth over time, and it has continued to be together.
Yeah.
And that's not very typical.
Right.
It's not normal.
That is something that
fantastic.
It is, because
it's
a
special.
lot of times what you hear about people who marry young,
each other.
Yes, is that we grew separately, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I think it's easy to do, but I think it's easy to grow. Sorry, I know I'm all over the place, because I think it's very easy to lose yourself, and you are focused on one thing and they're focused on another. I think especially as women, and when we have kids and all of those things, right? Like, I think for Jason and I, when the boys were young, was our hardest times. Like,
really?
Yes, when they were like 5, 6, around there, because I think it was so many years that I was focused on the kids.
Yes.
And I didn't focus on Jason. And it's so easy to do.
It's so easy to do.
I mean, the thing is that the kids need almost all of you.
Okay, hold on. Before you go there, because yes, it's 100%. 100%. But what I want to ask you is, the relationships that you've had before your husband, number one, does he know about all of them? Dun, dun, dun. Also, do you guys ever discuss them? And 3, what do you take away from them? Because I think that's a big important component.
Okay, so how
often do you dream about them?
I do think he knows about all of them. I do not know about all of his, and I don't want to.
Why?
So for me,
are you a jealous person?
Yes.
You are?
Yes. Yes, I am. I do not want to know. So to me, and I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not trying to talk trash on anyone, but someone who slept around a lot, I mean, I'm not saying I never slept with people. I did. I had there are people that I slept with that I did not have an actual, like, we were not dating with, right? Okay. Friends with benefits, that kind of thing. And I'm not trying to judge anyone, but I think that Jason's number is quite a bit higher than mine. And I don't want to know about it, because to me, it'll make me think he's dirty and I don't like it. My number is fine. His number is not. His number could be 3 for all I know, but I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think it is. I'm not delusional. No. But so I don't want to know it, because it will make me feel yucky. I don't know. I don't want to think about that thing. I mean, I already know. unfortunately, being a second wife.
This is why I asked, too.
Okay. So, and I don't know. I am slightly crazy.
So do you think, like, are you more, and this is obviously probably changed over time, but do you find yourself more jealous of a person over the relationship he had with his first wife, or the relationships or sexual encounters that he's had throughout his life?
So
it's probably changed.
More so. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time. So I might be okay if he told me the number now. You know, we've been together for over 18 years. It's been a long time. So, I mean, unless some of those numbers have happened in the 18 years, then I might be upset. But, you know, I think in the beginning specifically, I felt very uncomfortable about his ex-wife, because the thing is that I knew his heart was he wanted to be with her forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's the one.
Right. It was because of her that they weren't together. It wasn't because he didn't want to be with her.
Right.
So unfortunately, for a good amount of time, I felt like I was just second best, right? Like runner up.
I wonder if my ex-husband's girlfriends or wives ever felt that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, like there were a lot of emotions about her, because there are things that then I think like, gosh, what if their sex was better? What if she was better at sex? You know, like what if when we're having sex, he thinks like, oh gosh, I wish she was doing this. Like you know what I mean? There are those things that I worried about so much. And over time it's gotten less, but I'm even to this day, I'll make comments to him about stuff like that. And it is because I'm in my head and I do worry, you know, like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I do. So I think like, I wonder this with my own husband, like, he's not a very jealous person at all. And you're saying you are, he's not. But when you're married to someone else, it's a whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jason and I really did love someone else.
Yeah.
Like we were willing to spend our lives with someone else. Everything that we were, we gave to someone else.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
Right. And not because of you.
Not because of us.
Which I would be interested to hear Tony's take on it, because I feel like he's much more logical than I am. I'm way more rational.
You're
way more
emotional because you're a female.
Yeah. And so I would be curious to hear what he said about it, or like his thoughts on it. I feel like we kind of need to bring him in here, because I feel like Jason would be like, you're stupid. But something in my head that I always think is, he's never going to tell me if he really actually felt the way that I think, well, maybe he feels that way, right? He's never going to tell me like, yeah, like she, you know, our sex was better. Right? He's never going to tell me that. Right. So in my head, I'm just always going to, I mean, not always, because it's not always there, but I think especially when I'm like in my head a lot, I'll think stuff like that sometimes. Way less now than I used to.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I hope you guys don't think about this kind of stuff. And it's hard to think about this kind
Who was that?
I don't know. But I think that I look at it like from my perspective, from coming from another relationship. I don't think about my other relationship at all, except for I know what it is and what it was. And a lot of it was toxic. Even when it was good, it was still not good. And it was me, and it was me, and it was me trying, and it was me doing these things, and it was me making all of the effort. And the fact that I have someone that makes the effort with me, and that I can say, like, I love you. And when he actually says it back, it's a true, like, he loves me, you know, it's so different. And I think, like, there's nothing that can touch that. There's nothing. And once you have it, and once you see it, and once you know it, like I'm sure Jason found at one point in your relationship, it's like nothing else even can touch it, you know? So there's no better sex. There's no better touch. There's no better anything, because that feeling is like everything. That's what tingles everything. That's head to toe. Yeah. You know, that's what gets you in that moment, is that she actually loves me the way I love her. And you know, you didn't have it before.
Yeah. See, I think for me, it's different because I'm on the opposite side. So for me, I think, like, in relationships before, like, I feel like my first real, like, my first real boyfriend, like, I would call, like, my high school boyfriend, right? Like, there was other people I dated after him, even one I lived with, but I feel like more emotion and things like that came from my very first relationship. But I feel like that was very much young love. Yeah. Not true love. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yep. So it's different. Yeah. Whereas I feel like, okay, Jason, I'm assuming because he married her and the feelings that he had, I'm assuming that was actual love. Yeah. Which I never had with anyone else. Right. So I'm only assuming, well, I wasn't like the first person he loved, you know? And then I don't know, like, you know, I don't know. I'm one of those people that I'm in my head, and those kinds of things are like.
Well, I asked this because we had a great time with some friends tonight. And one of our friends is very casually talking about his exes. Yeah. And it may bother her, and she may not say it, but she didn't say anything. She doesn't seem bothered. She doesn't seem bothered by it. And I'm like, how comfortable are you with, you know, someone talking about their exes? Yeah. For us, I think it's different too, because he wasn't married before.
Right. Neither of them had a prior marriage.
These are just hoes that he's talking about. Right. He's been with this hoe and that hoe and all the other hoes. And he is talking about all his hoes. And for us, it's exes. And I say exes because there's so much more baggage with it. Right now, I am trying to diffuse the questions that come from my 5-year-old as to why my 17-and-a-half-year-old has 2 dads. Yes. It's been I am dodging balls like it's getting tough. It's getting tough.
So what are you telling her?
Well, I'm changing the subject a lot. Oh. I'm telling her that, a lot of people have 2 dads, you know, Maybe they're gay. I don't know. But,
my sister's dads are gay. My sister has 2 dads.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think she's going and telling her teachers right now, that her sister has 2 dads. And I'm like,
everyone
cool. Yeah, you go ahead. You talk about the dads.
Yeah.
She kind of knows that that I was married before.
Right. She doesn't quite grasp it.
But she doesn't grasp it. And I think she wants more answers, but I'm dodging and she's slightly asking. So it's been interesting, and it's tough. It's a tough conversation to have.
Right.
Because I'm like, how do I explain to her that I once loved someone else?
Yeah.
And before I loved her dad.
Yeah.
And how do I let her know that I only love your dad?
Right.
And I won't love anyone else. And you should only love one person.
Right.
And you shouldn't love anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do all that?
That is a hard, I mean, there are hard conversations that I've had with the boys. And I mean, Hayden even freaking called me out in front of my Sunday school class when he wanted to tell them that his mom and dad weren't married when they had him.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, could you not share that? Like, I mean, I do explain to the kids that I met God later in life. I wasn't young. I've had those conversations with them, but I've had to have those conversations, and especially now that my boys are older, and in that age where they could go out and experiment with other people, and I have let them know, I've told both of them that I wish that I had saved myself for their dad. I mean, look, I know you feel different about this, but I do, because I feel like it's such a special thing. And I gave it to someone who doesn't matter. Right? Mm-hmm. It is a special thing. For you ended up marrying that. I didn't.
Yeah, but I tried to give it away, but I couldn't.
I had that person. I had that. The thing is it wasn't anything special. And I feel like it should be. I know you feel different about it,
but you have to remember that I'm fucked up in the head. So
yeah,
and I was really fucked up in the head back then, and so I tried to give it up.
I know you tried to, but I just mean at this point in time.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I feel like for me, I feel like because it was something that I almost had to conquer.
Yeah.
So because it was something that I had to be comfortable with.
Right.
And that meant that I had to be comfortable in my own body, and that I was in control and I could control my own body. Yeah. I didn't feel like it was, not that it's not special. I just didn't feel like it had that same thing.
Right.
I felt like
I didn't.
I felt like this was something I had to get over to get to the next level.
Right.
And I still today feel like, in a sense, it's like, it's a part of your growth as a person. Mm-hmm. And yes, I want it to be shared with someone who's impactful and who means something to you. But I also feel like I just want it to be a point where you become comfortable with your own body.
Yeah. And I get that.
And that's where it's different. And it's not for everyone. And I totally get the specialty part of it. And I totally get all of that. And I agree with all of it. It's just that for me, it was different.
Yeah.
And so I understand it differently, and I don't expect it to be that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that's going to be that way for most people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, I understand.
I'm also a control freak. So, you know.
I understand that most people, it's not like that. Like, a lot of people aren't.
No,
I
think it is like that for a lot of people. I think a lot of people want it to at least be with someone impactful, meaningful. The person, special. It is special.
Right. But I thought that, but that person ended up not being special.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're not anything to me now. Right? So...
Also, when I say I was trying to give it away, I didn't mean like I was on the street corner or that I was offering it to everyone. Just saying
she was.
No,
but
it's not everyone. But it was just like I was trying to.
Could not. You could not get yourself to do it.
And I was trying to find the point in my mind and in my body that I could like come to that relaxing point to do, and I couldn't.
Yeah. Which it's understandable. You know, I get that. I totally understand that. And I just think I know people who they like their first was their last. And I think that's so special. And I know maybe I'm a lame ass. I'm like a sentimental loser. I get it. I understand that. But that's why I say that. Also, because unfortunately, there are people that I have to have on my list that
shouldn't be on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Well, once you give it up, you just start giving it out.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going buck wild, but like there were situations where like that really shouldn't have happened. It happened and it shouldn't have. And like there's regret,
Mm.
And
yeah, I don't have to have any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I regret being married for the first time. It's so hard to say.
It's hard because you got your kid.
I have my child from
yes.
him, and I learned so much from that. Like, what the fuck not to do.
Right.
Or be with.
Yeah, you're not going to allow, these things. Yeah, no, I get that.
But at the same time, it is hard to say, like, I mean, ultimately, you get divorced. It means you failed at something. You failed.
Do you feel like that's part of the issue, is that you feel like you failed?
I mean, I feel like I did fail, but it's not my fault that it failed.
Right.
It failed.
Right.
Not I failed, it failed.
Right.
I didn't fail because I honestly did everything
you could. Yeah, you did all that you could.
I 100% believe that I threw everything I had on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So I have no regrets. The only thing I could say is that even in my no regrets, it's hard because I swallowed a lot of pills that I shouldn't have had to.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of like, I tried to let a lot of things go, and I tried to do things that I would never tell someone else to do.
Right. You would be like, run. Get
Don't
out.
ever do that. It's going to end the same way.
Don't accept it.
That's
it's not
bullshit.
okay.
Blah, 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 blah. You deserve better. I did it. I did it all because I tried, because I said, I never want anyone to come back and said, you should have tried.
Mm-hmm. See,
so I did everything,
mm-hmm.
everything. So I don't feel like I failed, but I feel like it failed. It's still a failure in my life. I failed. It failed. But the only thing about it is it never was meant to be in the first place, because I can't even imagine what my life would be,
mm-hmm.
And I learned so much about myself, and I learned so much about people, and I respect and I just cherish so much more of what my husband is, I think, today, because I didn't think that I would ever have it, at one point in my life. And so to have it now, it's like,
yeah.
When people bitch and they say things, and I, don't get me wrong, I bitch about my husband too. It's like, he's not fucking perfect. Okay. But at the same time, like, whatever. I mean,
yeah.
Whatever.
Like, what you have.
Yeah. He's a good man.
Yeah.
He's a good man. Does he fucking annoy me sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm sure I fucking annoy him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Our husbands look at each other all the time and are like, I don't know how we do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do it.
Yeah.
But I have a girlfriend that she had a previous marriage and she ended up, so she had issues before, like some abuse and things like that. And so she felt this person, they were very good friends, and she felt protected by him.
It's what usually happens.
Right? So she didn't necessarily love him like that. She loved him as a person. They were friends. Yeah. She loved him. She felt very protected by him.
Yeah.
And he loved her. Oh, he was in love with her. And he asked her to marry him, and she did. But she never felt like that in love, right? Mm. Well, some time goes by and she finds out he's doing drugs and she's not okay with it. She confronts him about it, tells him basically it's me or it's the drugs. I'm not okay with this. I'm not going to do it. And her family, very religious, and she had finally talked to her parents, and she was very worried about what they would think, obviously. And her dad told her basically if he's choosing something else, it's essentially like cheating on you, right? Like, it's not a person, but he is choosing something else over you. And so he was like you have to divorce him, basically, you have no other option. And she always felt like she was using that as her out because she wasn't actually in love with him. And she always had a lot of guilt over it. And for someone who had to go through stuff like that, like you said, you had to swallow. You swallowed a lot of pills you shouldn't have. You accepted a lot of things that you shouldn't have. Do you feel like that's an acceptable reason to leave someone?
Oh, I mean, they probably shouldn't have been married in the first place.
Absolutely.
But if she wasn't really in love with him, she shouldn't have stayed married to him because it wouldn't have lasted anyway.
Right.
And his drug addiction wouldn't have gotten any better because she wasn't in it for the love. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially when you're going through something like that with someone, I mean, you have to really fucking love them to put up with that shit.
Yeah.
You do. I mean, if you don't, you're gonna fucking leave.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with that because most of the time they don't come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I look at my ex-husband and he was an alcoholic and, I think that I loved him so much, and it's the only reason that we lasted as long as we did.
Yeah.
Had I not,
you'd have been out. Do you think for someone who is, say, a religious person and divorce is not, right? So divorce is not an option unless certain things. Do you think that that's something that would be a reason for it?
I don't. And the only reason I'll say this is because, my mom stayed married to her ex-husband for years.
Right.
Years after she should not have been married to him.
Yeah.
Because it was a religious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the religious aspect of it was you don't get divorced.
Right.
And had she left him and someone said to her, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have no obligation to him. Fuck him. He's the sicko.
Right.
He's the wrong one.
Right.
You get out and you get your kids out and you get away and it's okay. It could have saved us so much heartache. If your friend, which I'm assuming they didn't have kids together.
No.
If your friend had kids with him, imagine the life that it could have been for her, for the kid, even for him, the addict. Do you know what his story is now? Like, if
he did end up, like, he
got
is
clean
and he got remarried. I don't know that they had any kids. He did end up having some health issues. I don't know if he's recovered from those issues. He was actually, like, on the news and stuff a few years back. But he seemed to be doing well. I mean, health-wise, maybe not, but as far as where he was at emotionally,
I just think, like, sometimes the longer you stay in a situation that is not going anywhere, more than likely the worse it's going to be, and you create that.
Okay, so leaving is sometimes the best route to go.
Absolutely.
Both of you.
I'm not saying you should give up on marriages easily. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is sometimes it is the best, and sometimes we hold on for our own almost selfish issues, whether it's because you don't want people to you don't want to look bad in front of people.
Yep.
You don't want that stigma of divorce. You're trying to hold a higher whatever. You don't want to face the reality, whatever it is. A lot of times I think we hold on for reasons that are not good. And so as easy as it seems to let go, it's not easy.
Right. A lot of times that is the harder option.
That is the harder a lot of times. And so I think that if it's time to let go, it's time to let go. And if you're not in love with that person, or you shouldn't be with that person because it is only creating toxicity, to walk away is even stronger than staying.
I do agree with that too, because I have to say that when you're in one of those situations where you're looking at, do you stay or do you go? As hard as it is to stay and deal with that, get through it, figure out how you're going to move on and all of that, especially when you have kids, like, you look at the leaving aspect. How are you going to provide now for your kids? How are you going to get your kids to school every day? How are you going to make sure your kids are fed? How are you going to pay all your bills? Where are you going to live? I mean, there's a lot of those things that you have to think about. And I mean, even if you don't have kids, say you're separating, where are you going to live? And can you afford to live somewhere else by yourself on your own income? And God knows where you're at financially at that point, hopefully you're well, but if you're not, then what do you do?
Right.
And then you have to look at, there's all of those things. And I know a lot of times people say, like, they took the easy way out, but I don't think that leaving is easy.
No.
Sometimes I think it's the harder way. It is. You went that route and you tried for a long time to stay. You did that. And I'm sure leaving was harder. It was obviously the right choice. It was the best option for you and your child, but it was probably the harder choice at that point. You know, how easy is it to go through the motions and just do it?
Mm-hmm.
As rough as things may be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, I don't know. So good for those of you that are able to get out of these horrible situations. Yes.
Know your toxicity level. Know that when it's not going good, and when you think, oh, it's not going good. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, I don't, whatever. I mean, pay attention to those things, because I think it's important that sometimes we block them because we want to.
Right.
Because it's not good to pay attention to them. Because then if we pay attention to them, then it's actually paying attention to a problem that we actually have. Yeah. And that's so much harder to deal with than ignoring it.
Yeah.
So be real with yourself. Know your value. Know your worth.
Know your worth.
And know when it's time to get out. And know that it's not a cop-out. It's
strength.
It's strength.
You are strong for being able to get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
Because it does take a lot. Whether you have kids or not, I mean, you could just be living with a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And now you're having to flip your whole world upside down. It's not a cop-out.
Yeah. And if you're lucky enough to only have hoes and no exes,
yes,
then
good for
you. Put your little hoe badge of honor on today, and know that we salute you.
Yes.
And thanks, guys. Thanks for swapping with